We'll see what is Struts2 action. So what Struts2 action will give a clear idea how Struts action will be invoked, how internally that action will be invoked, how internally that action will be called by a request. We'll see. So this is the Struts2 architecture, and here major part will be the filter dispatcher, and this filter dispatcher internally uses action mapper to determine whether to invoke an action or not. If the action is required to be called, required to be invoked, that filter dispatcher delegates the control to action proxy. So when that action needs to be invoked, that control will be given to action proxy from filter dispatcher. What this action proxy will do, and will check the action name which is invoked by the filter dispatcher, and it will take the help from configuration manager, and which is initialized by the struts2.xml. So whenever we are going to call any action, that needs to be declared in struts.xml, so that will be initiated by the configuration manager. So this action proxy will be take the help from configuration manager whether user declared that action name in struts.xml or not. After successful validation using action proxy, action proxy using configuration manager, it will give the action to action invocation. So then this action invocation will invoke the action, and it will identify the which action class need to be invoked and which are need to be processed by that action. Like we have a different interceptors in struts2. So as a basic if you are if you don't have any idea on struts2, you will get confusion about interceptor. Interceptors are nothing but its filter, how we have in general filters. So each and every action will have a different set of interceptors which are declared in action mapper. So this action invocation, it will invoke the set of interceptors which are mapped to that action. So action invocation will for example, it think it is identified to interceptors and which action need to be called. So first action invocation call first interceptor 1. After execution of that, again it will come to action invocation dot invoke method, and it will go to interceptor 2, and then after completion of interceptors, it will come to action, and that action needs to be called. After execution of this action, result will come. After result, based on, for example, how we have a different results. Now, for example, if you get success result, one specific HTML need to be called. For specific any failure, specific JSP need to be called. We'll have a different view files based on the result. So after this result, based on the view format, it will call again interceptor 2, and then it will call interceptor 1. So how interceptors execution will be first and second, and execution will be second and 1. So we'll have a different messages where it will identify start messages of execution and finish messages of execution. If you see, this is the interceptor method where it will call pre-processing. That means before action. Struts1, interceptor 1 and interceptor 2. So this will be called after result, when we got the result, and this post processing when after result. If you see, after execution of action in result, when that interceptor 2 will be called, this will be logged. So this is the finish message. So interceptors will be called before pre-processing as well as post-processing. But what if an validation error comes? In this case, a request process will be stopped. No further interceptors will be invoked. Action will not be executed. The control flow changes now. The interceptors executed so far will be invoked in the reverse order to the post-processing, if any. Finally, the result will be rendered the user. That means if I get any error in interceptor 1, that will be executed only interceptor 1, and after post-processing also only this interceptor 1 will be executed. No further execution will go to interceptor 2 or any action which is mapped to that action. So this is the Struts2 flow, and let's come back to the normal flow. In our case, a logger interceptor is the only interceptor in the stack. So after logging the start message, the invocation invoke method will invoke the action. After execution of action, if it returns success, then again the logger interceptor will be invoked to the post processing. This time finish message what we discussed just now. So this is the Struts2 architecture. So don't forget, filter dispatcher will decide whether to invoke the action or not. That control will go to action proxy, and action proxy will validate the action whether it is initialized by the configuration manager using struts.xml or not. Then it will be given to action invocation. This action invocation will be decided what is exactly struts action and what are interceptors needs to be called for that action. So based on the result, UI will be called, view will be called from the result. So this is the execution of Struts2 action.